Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, All That Jazz. So before we get into this, I want to make one thing very clear before we start. This is not a video saying Will Byers did nothing in season 5. He did. This is a video about how Stranger Things set Will up as essential, reinforced his connection to the hive mind more than ever, and then failed to show the consequences of that connection in a way that felt earned. And that's why his story feels so incomplete to me. Let's start with what the show did give Will, because it wasn't nothing. In season 5, Will's role is meant to bring the story full circle, from victim to active force. He doesn't get 11-style powers. Instead, he does something far more dangerous. He channels Vecna's connection to the hive mind, not by being affected, but by choosing to tap in. And that allows him to do some huge things. He puppeteers the Demogorgons. In the Shock Jock episode, we see him break Vecna's leg, which allows Holly and Max time to escape. He restrains Vecna inside the abyss, creating an opening that allows 11 to strike. And thematically, he becomes the moral contrast to Henry Creel. Two boys who walk the same path. One chose isolation and power, the other chose love and connection. On paper, that's strong. But here's where the problem starts. Stranger Things didn't just introduce Will's connection to the hive mind in season 5. It's been building the connection since season 2, and the show established a very clear rule. When the hive mind is hurt, Will feels it. From season 2 to season 5, burn the vines, Will feels it, in pain. Burn the Demogorgons, Will feels it, in pain. Damage the network, Will feels it, he's in pain. That rule held consistently for multiple seasons, and season 5 doesn't undo it, it doubles down on it. And I think season 5 made it even more prominent because it confirms that Will unknowingly built the tunnels in season 2 by tapping into the hive mind as he slept. Will can now access the hive intentionally, and Will can manipulate Vecna's army from the inside. So naturally, as viewers, we assume one thing. If it ends violently, Will could pay the price. I don't think that's fan entitlement. I don't think that that's fans being nitpicky. It's fans following the formula that the show set. You don't escalate a connection like that without there being some kind of consequences at the end when it finally is shattered or broken. And then the finale happens. The hive collapses, Vecna is destroyed, the mind flayer is destroyed, and Will, he's fine. No pain, no fallout, no moment showing the cost of severing that connection. We didn't even get to see Vecna attempt to use Will in any way. Well, I take that back. Vecna does recapture Will earlier in the season and uses Will as a spy. And that sounds massive, right? Except the only concrete thing Will is used for is locating Max, so Vecna can send the demo dogs. That's it. In season 2, Will being a spy killed damn near every person in that lab outside of them and Dr. Owens. Will's spying led to 2 military men being killed in season 5. They completely ran past Vicky and Robin twice in that hospital. And that's where the writing feels thin and why there are so many complaints about the stakes not feeling high in this season, because no one's lives felt like they were going to end. And it was already established to the audience that Vecna can see into people's minds. That's how he chose his victims in season 4. So why exactly did he need Will to find Max? Why? There was so much more they could have done with Will, especially Will being a spy. Instead, the spy arc feels underdeveloped for how dangerous it was framed to be. I mean, come on now. The Duffer brothers said the original plan for Bob was for Will to kill him while being controlled by the mind flayer in season 2. Those were the moments I was expecting this season. Now, post-finale, the Duffers have addressed some things in interviews. They have said Will did feel the pain, it was just off-screen. His connection was voluntary, not possession. Once the mind flayer died, the link was severed. And logically, sure, that explanation works, but narratively, it does not. You don't spend an entire season emphasizing a character's suffering, their connection, their vulnerability, their importance, and then resolve it quietly in the background. Especially not the character you centered this whole season around and made it very clear it started with Will, so it's going to end with Will. Which leads me to this. If we have to be told the impact after the fact as the audience watching, the story didn't fully do its job. There is no way we should be having to find this out in an interview and this wasn't something shown on screen. And this is the part that really sticks with me. Season 5 opens with the flashback of Will Byers inside the Upside Down, the very first time he was taken in Season 1. Cold, alone, terrified, that choice isn't accidental, and you don't begin your final season by reminding us of where it all started with Will unless you're telling the audience this matters. And for the most part, in Season 5, it feels like it does. The story keeps pulling us back to Will, his connection, his trauma, his role in building the tunnels, his ability to access the hive mind, his importance to Vecna's plan. The season positions Will as the emotional and thematic center. So as viewers, it's natural to assume if this is the final chapter, then this story starts and ends with Will. But it doesn't. The finale shifts its focus back to 11. She's the one who ultimately pays the price. She's the one whose ending is left ambiguous. She's the one who dies, or at least is framed as the final sacrifice. And that creates a disconnect. Not because 11 doesn't deserve the focus, she absolutely does, but because the season told us one story and ended with another. It didn't start with Will and end with Will. It started with Will and ended with 11. And that choice is a big reason why the finale feels emotionally uneven for some fans. And to be very honest, the more that I rewatch the finale, the more I am bothered by 11's ending. And I probably will end up doing a video on her too, but we're going to stick to Will for the purpose of this video. I mean, come on now. You can't give us these big moments throughout the season. Will tapping into the hive mind, using Vecna's own power, taking down the demo dogs at the end of episode 4, breaking Vecna's leg from the inside in episode 5 and helping Max and Holly escape, and ending episode 7 with one of the most vulnerable, important coming out scenes in the entire series, just to do nothing more with Will's character in the finale episode. It makes all of that build up and all of those moments feel so much more lighter than it should, and that's what brings the frustration. Now, I want to make something very clear here. I am not here to change your mind about the finale or season 5. I watched it and I enjoyed it for what it was. Was it perfect? No. Was it what any of us expected? Definitely not. Did it feel rushed and messy in some places? Yes. Could the writing have been a lot better and polished throughout the season? Most definitely. But fans are allowed to talk about what didn't fully land, especially when the show itself set certain expectations. This isn't about tearing the ending down. It's about acknowledging that some arcs, especially Will's, were built up with intention and then quietly stepped away from at the very end. And for me, that's one of the biggest missed opportunities of the final season. Now, there is a lot of fans speculating that Ross Duffer's divorce from Leah right as the season began to film is a big factor as to why this season feels off, suggesting Leah's creative input was felt more in the earlier seasons and her being gone is the reason why this season suffered. Now, if you are not familiar with who Leah Janiak is, she is actually the film director and screenwriter for Netflix's Fear Street trilogy, which came out in 2021. It looks like she wasn't a part of this newest installment in 2025, which is probably why it sucked, because the trilogy of the first three were so fucking good. So that's interesting. I had never looked into what she did before, but it does make you wonder if her and Ross not being together anymore did in fact play a part in season 5 not being the finale or the ending that everybody wanted for the show. At the end of the day, this isn't saying Stranger Things 5 failed. It didn't. Like I said before, and I'm still sticking by this, I enjoyed season 5, and I understand what the Duffers were trying to do. But enjoyment doesn't mean we can't talk about what fell short. This story started with Will Byers, with a scared kid kidnapped and taken to the upside down, surviving something no one else thought he could. Season 5 reminded us of that. It centered him again. It showed us how deeply connected he still was to the hive mind. It gave him moments that felt like they were building towards something bigger, and then it didn't fully follow through. 11 paying the final price makes sense. She always been the heart of the fight. But when a season invests this much time in Will, his connection, his pain, his growth, it's fair to expect that to matter in the end. Not off screen, not in interviews, on screen. That doesn't erase what worked. It doesn't ruin the history or the story. It just leaves some questions hanging. And I think fans are allowed to talk about that, because loving a show doesn't mean pretending it was perfect. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Did Will's arc work for you in the finale, or did it feel like we were missing something? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely read them, and I love seeing how differently everyone experienced the ending, not just myself. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and share with someone who's still processing how all of this ended. Thank you guys so much for watching, the support, and for sticking with me through the end of this story. And as always, stay curious and stay out the upside down. I'll see you in the next one, guys.